The story begins with a doll-like person saying, "Hello friends. My name is Gremory." In front of him are 6 people sitting. 3 girls and 3 boys. Gremory said that after many years, Becca wanted to reunite, so Gremory decided that the best way to reunite is to do so while enjoying the premiere of his new park with her. Gremory isn't really sitting in front of them, it's just a live call. Gremory mentions that a person's worst nightmares are born in this place, and he will be their guide as they move through the unimaginable horror that awaits them within. It's too late to turn back now. Their only way out is to survive Gremory Land. After some time, the blonde-haired girl checked her mobile, but there was no signal. She asked how long they wanted them to be locked in here. Black-haired girl mentioned that they can't even look outside because the windows are completely black. The blonde girl couldn't sit in the car any longer and stepped outside. The first thing she saw was a really scary-looking entrance. They were already in front of the entrance of the Gremory Land, but no one told them. Without wasting a moment, all of them stepped outside. At first, they wondered why no one told them they're already here, but then assumed that it might be a part of the experience. The orange-haired girl took a picture of the entrance and with others, started walking inside. She mentions that the park owner called them here because she's an influencer, but with no signal, she won't be able to promote the park live. After some walking through a dark forest area, they reached in front of a creepy Gremory statue. As they were wondering where they should go, the black-haired girl pointed somewhere. She spotted a house with the board saying Happy Family, and they all went there. Inside, the first thing they saw was a doll-like family. They welcomed them by saying, "Welcome to the Thompson family home. Please take a seat and enjoy visiting the happiest family in America." They all sat in giant baby carriages in front of them and started their ride. As the carriages moved, different scenes with narration appeared. This is the first scene showing the happy Thompson family. The narrator said that the Thompson family had a perfect life. They lived in one of the most idyllic suburbs in the state. James worked in one of the most prestigious companies in Manhattan, and his beautiful wife was dedicated with heart and soul to the family's well-being. Black-haired girl Zoe wasn't pleased seeing that the husband gets the name while the woman is just a wife who's valued for her beauty and servitude. From behind, a man, who seems like he has already heard this type of thing from Zoe many times, said that it was another time. Many women were happy working for their family. He told her that not everyone thinks like her. But she still didn't agree and said that women were conditioned to accept that life. She said that it's fine if being a housewife is a choice, but to her, it didn't seem like a choice to many women back then. As they were talking, the next scene appeared. The narrator said that it was good for the Thompsons, and the best news has yet to come. They were anticipating the arrival of a beautiful baby girl, who was sure to bring more joy to their family. The man wearing a hat wasn't happy, because this trip was supposed to be scary, not wholesome. As he said that, the tone of the narrator suddenly changed. He said, "One day all of that began to change. Now, all of them aren't together but separated." The guy wearing the hat and the influencer girl saw a scene where James was sitting on his sofa, drinking heavily. The narrator said that James lost his job, and with it, all of his pride at being able to support his family. His frustration at not being able to find other work and the shame of feeling that he'd become a burden on society led him to drinking. Zoe and her friend saw a different scene. James eventually began taking out his problems on his wife, and brutally beat her. The wife, who's just supposed to be a doll here, started crying. She started shouting, asking James to stop. She told him that she's getting hurt, but he didn't stop. Eventually, during one of the beating, she lost her baby. A blonde-haired girl and her friends saw a different scene where the little boy in the family was holding a baby doll. The narrator said that the little boy in the family had been very excited to have a sister. After the death of the baby, he began to take care of a doll as if it were his sister. Then one day, the family began to hear cries of a baby behind the walls of the house. The boy believed that from playing so much with the doll, he had managed to contact his dead sister. He explained to his parents, his neighbors, and his friend Margot. The blonde-haired girl was really shocked after hearing the name because it was the same name as hers. She started to get really scared and wanted to leave this place. While she shouted that she wanted to leave this place, influencer girl and her friend arrived at the next scene. The narrator said that the cries that little boy heard didn't appear because of him taking care of his sister. This scene shows a doll cut in several pieces with blood on it. Around it, there's a circle drawn like some ritual is going on. The narrator continued, "The one who wanted to bring the baby back to life was her own mother." At that moment, when Margot broke free from the carriage, the light also went off. She didn't care about light. She walked out of the carriage with the man named Bruno. After some walking, they reached a door. and when they opened, they arrived in the living room. At the same time, other members of the group also entered the room. They stood together and Zoe pointed out that this hall looks like the one they came in through, but the door is boarded up. Right then, the blonde-haired guy heard something. Someone upstairs is singing a song and the lyrics are as follows. My dear sweet girl, I felt you growing inside me. As they followed the voice upstairs, they learned that it's coming from a room in front. The lyrics continued, I lost you and thought I was going crazy. But thanks to love, I have been able to bring you back. As the group entered the room, they saw something on the bed and went to check it. It is James with his belly aired up like a balloon. It looks like he's pregnant. And these doll-like people are ultra-realistic for some reason. Wife held a knife while continuing her song, through your executor, you will be born again. As she said that, she pierced James' stomach with the knife. When the blood splattered, the influencer girl shouted with a scared face. The wife, who's covered with blood, looked at her and completed her song. And you will become my baby's food. At that moment, the wife started chasing them as they ran for their life. Margot tried to open a door, but it was locked. Then, Bruno saw a door that was opened and told everyone. On the other side of the door were stairs that lead to some kind of basement. With no other choice, they turned on their mobile's light and walked down. At the bottom, they saw the same place where the mom was performing the ritual. Suddenly, the fire started burning around them. Before they even reacted, they saw a very scary and creepy baby monster tied up to the roof. In its stomach, it had a long, stretchy mouth. It used that mouth to attack them, but they dodged it. At that moment, Zoe saw a window from where they could go out. Without wasting a moment, they climbed the wall, passed through the window, and reached outside. Margot, while catching her breath, asked Becca, the influencer girl, what kind of part she dragged them to. Becca said that she didn't know it would be like this. The cat man wasn't scared even a little and said that it's been fun. Zoe wasn't happy. She mentions that Becca's face is stained with blood and they were nearly burned alive in there. Without saying more, Margot decided to leave the place. She doesn't want to spend another second in this shitty place. The cat man wasn't happy because he was enjoying it. He said that they were just dolls and a few effects, but no one listened to him. After some walking, they reached outside and saw that their car wasn't there. Margot still didn't stop. She said that she doesn't care about the car and started walking on foot. Sometime later, she saw a big wall blocking her way. When she saw that the wall had no end, she realized something. She said, we were wrong. We're not outside. We never were. Right then, a voice came from behind, saying there's only one way out of the park and it is finding the exit. They will have to locate the different clues scattered around the attractions. But the voice asked them to be careful in doing so because attractions can be dangerous. In the end it said, welcome to Gremory land. Hearing that, Rami asked what is the meaning of attractions being dangerous. He assumed that it's just a joke. Becca also agrees, saying that maybe in the end they'll compensate them for what they put them through. But Margot didn't agree. She showed them her burned clothes and asked if this was a joke to them. Even if this isn't a joke, Bruno pointed at the wall blocking their way and said they can't do anything. There's no way out. They realize there's nothing they can do and decide to go through the park. While walking, they were thinking of finding a staff member and demanded the way out of here. After some time, they reached a gift shop. They thought that someone might be able to help them there. After entering the shop, they all first look around. At one side of the shop, there was a poster asking, who is Gremory? No one paid any attention to that poster. Then, Margot asked Becca what they should do now. When Becca said she doesn't know, Margot got angry at her. She said that she should have researched more before taking them into this park. While Margot was blaming Becca for bringing them here, Rami walked ahead because he saw something. On a shelf, he saw a panda whose cheeks were a little red like blood was splattered on them. At first, the panda looked normal, but suddenly it smiled, which startled Rami. As he fell down, the panda also disappeared from the shell. Hearing his shout, Zoe immediately came running to him, asking him if something happened. Scared, Zoe pointed at the window behind the shelf and said there's a panda. He assumes that it was someone wearing a panda dress. Without wasting a moment, the cat man went outside to check the situation. As he walked out, he saw a panda, a goat, and a rabbit standing in front of him like humans. The whole group is out of the shop now, standing behind the cat man. He asked the panda and others about the situation. When they didn't talk, he changed the questions, asking them how to leave this park. But they still didn't say a word. He asked them if they are listening or if he'll have to make them listen to him. At that moment, the rabbit took out a stick covered with nails, the panda took out a chainsaw, while the goat took knives. Immediately, they started chasing them. Running for their life, the group entered a random building without thinking. Once inside, they locked the door and Becca asked if they really wanted to hurt them. Zoe said that she'd rather not stay to find out. She then asked if someone knows where they are now. Bruno was holding a piece of paper and said that this might help. It's a map of the park that Bruno found in the gift shop. At first, they weren't able to tell where they are now, but Margot was able to tell after seeing the map properly. She said that they went around the gift shop and now they're in this building. She pointed at the building named the Museum of the Sleepers. After some exploring, they found a room where a person was standing. Becca asked the person if he could help them, but he didn't answer. When they entered the room, they realized that it was just a doll. The doll is so realistic that she thought that it was real. Right then, the TV that was in the room turned on. A creepy person appeared on it and said, "Hello friends. Welcome to the Museum of the Sleepers. This is a place of contemplation and it is very important not to disturb the sleep of those who rest here." The doll who Becca thought was real is named Jeff. The person on the TV said that Jeff ensures that the rules are and thus maintains absolute silence during their tour here. In the end, he hoped they would enjoy their stay here and a text appeared on the TV, 16 sleepers. While others were too scared to do anything, the cat man named Jax wasn't scared. He swapped the cap between Jeff and himself and said that he and Jeff are so good friends that they swapped hats. Seeing that, Becca smiled a little and asked him to not do that. With that, they continue their exploration of the museum. After some walking, they saw a person sleeping. In the wall the text is written, asking people to not disturb. Even after seeing that, someone asked the person to wake and she immediately opened her eyes. The person who did that was Jax. Becca immediately asked him what he's doing and reminded him that Gremory asked them to be silent. Jax didn't listen to Becca and just asked her to look how happy she was. At that moment, they heard something coming toward them. The one who is coming for them is Jeff. Seeing him, Jax got so scared that he fell down. Jeff looked down on him and made a gesture, asking him to stay quiet. Jeff didn't cause them any physical harm, so they started walking forward again. This time they make sure to not disturb anything. After some walking, they saw a lot of tables with vases on top. They carefully moved around the tables, trying to not disturb them even a little. But even after being extra careful, they couldn't avoid causing problems. When Bruno was crossing, the chain on Pants' pocket got stuck with the table. Because he didn't notice it, he kept moving and in the end, the table fell, breaking the vase. At this place, there was a doll holding a violin. She was at the other side of the window. When she heard the voice of the vase breaking, she immediately started playing violin. Immediately after, Jeff came from behind at full speed, this time holding a stick in his hand. First, it attacked Margot. She fell down but she was able to dodge the hit. Seeing that, Jax came forward to attack Jeff. But instead of getting revenge, he gets hit in the face. Then, Jeff left the place after telling them to stay quiet. Jax wants to put an end to that doll together. But others didn't agree because if they destroy the doll, they might not be able to get clues to go outside. At that moment, they saw a sign pointing toward the old mill town. The town was filled with creepy horses and pumpkins. When they entered the town, Margot asked them to stay quiet and watch where they step. She said that they can't make more noise or Jeff will come for them. Right after she said that, a spider suddenly appeared in front of her. Seeing it, she got scared and shouted aloud. Hearing the scream, the house lights turned on and the crows started cawing loudly. And then, Jeff also arrived at the scene. This time he was holding a taser instead of a stick. They were about to get tasered but were able to dodge it at the last moment. Jeff didn't try to attack them again and asked them to stay quiet. This time, Jax was really angry and decided to end Jeff. Becca tried to stop him, but he didn't listen. He quietly went behind Jeff and kicked him. Jeff was about to hit the ground when his eyes glowed red. With that, the taser that he was holding switched with a gun. He pointed that gun at Jax with red eyes, ready to shoot. Suddenly, Jeff changed his target and pointed at Becca. He shot the bullet at her, but she luckily avoided getting hit. Then, Jeff asked them to stay quiet and went back. After that, they were walking in that thin path again. Seeing that the danger is real here, they wanted to get out of here as quickly as possible. At the end of the narrow corridor, they reached an iron door. When Zoe tried to open it, they learned that it was locked. At the other side of the door, there's a mannequin that is holding a key. With that, there's also some mannequins hugging each other like they're dancing. Seeing the scene, they realized that it was a ballroom. And at the end of the ballroom there's a door that says, exit. While others were wondering how they'll open this door, Zoe pointed at the mannequin holding a key. Because she can't reach the key from the outside, She said that they'll have to wake them up by making a noise to open the door. Hearing that, Margot asked her if she's a fool. She reminded her that if they make any noise, Jeff will come and shoot them. Zoe points out that if the dummy opens the door before Jeff comes, they'll survive. But it's still really risky. There's a chance dummy don't even open the door for them and they all just die in vain. Then, Jack suggested that one of them should stay to try Zoe's plan and the others go back. Hearing his suggestion, Zoe asked him if he wanted to volunteer. And just as she thought, Jax couldn't say a word. As no one was ready to volunteer, Zoe decided to wake them up. On the count of 3, she shouted, "Wake up!" Immediately, all the dummies started moving, and also they heard Jeff coming closer to them. Dummy, who was holding the key, slowly moved and finally opened the door. Without wasting a moment, Zoe ran toward the exit door and left the ballroom. Behind her, Rami and others came running. Becca, who was already far behind others, hit a dancing mannequin and fell down. At this moment, others have already left the room, only Becca is left behind. She quickly got up and started running toward the exit. But her luck and speed wasn't as good as others. As she reached really close to the exit, a bullet pierced through her head from behind. She couldn't reach the exit before Jeff arrived there. After she died, the text on the TV, that was previously 16 sleepers, became 17 sleepers. All of them were now sitting or standing in front of the door with a sad expression. But Zoe was saddest because it was her plan to make a sound and run like this. Rami touched Zoe's shoulder to comfort her. And as he did that, the backstory of Zoe started. At that time when Rami touched her shoulder, she pushed his hand away, asking him to not touch her. She said to him that they all believe they have the right to touch them and do whatever they want with them. She called all the boys violent by nature and walked away. After that, when their class ended, Rami wanted to go out with Zoe and invited her. But she ignored him and turned to Becca, saying that she can accompany him to the teacher's room and then they can walk home together. Seeing that, Rami got sad and walked away without saying anything further. In the next scene, Zoe and Becca were walking together when they heard something. As they took turns, they saw some boys bullying Rami. Zoe immediately ran toward the boys and protected Rami. She called the 3 of them cowards for thinking that ganging on one person will show that they're strong. While she was dealing with 2 of them, Becca asked Jax what he was doing with them. She tells him that Rami is their friend. Jax looked away and answered that he was doing nothing. After that, Becca and Zoe, who is now with Rami, parted their ways. While walking, Zoe apologized to Rami for what she said to him at school. She said that things are awful at her home, and she accidentally took out her anger on him. She apologized to him again and said that she knows he's not like the other boys. In the present, Jax said that it's not their fault, they couldn't do anything to help her. He said that they cannot stay here regretting it and should move on or they would never leave this park. Hearing that, Zoe, with tears in her eyes, angrily asked Jax to shut up. She asked him to give them a few minutes to take everything in. Jax still didn't stop and said that they're wasting time here doing nothing. Then, Zoe got up and reminded Jax that it was him who said from the beginning that they should stay in the park because it's super fun. Seeing her angry, Jax asked her to calm down and said that it's not their fault. Zoe doesn't stop and points out that what happened to Becca doesn't seem to bother him. Jax heard that and said to Zoe that if she cared so much about her she shouldn't have left her alone. Zoe asked him to not blame her for Becca's death, but Jax continued. He said that Jeff pointed to the sound, if she hadn't yelled he wouldn't have shot in her direction, and now she wouldn't be dead. Right as he said that, Rami angrily appeared beside Zoe, asking Jax to shut up. He said to Jax that he's an insensitive guy who has never cared about the feelings of others around him. He said to Jax that he doesn't deserve Becca's friendship and he wishes Jax was dead instead of Becca. It turns out that Rami didn't actually say all that, he just wanted to say it. While he was sitting, clenching his head, he heard a voice. The voice told him to listen to it and calm down. An angelic girl appeared in front of him and asked him to not get carried away by the dark emotions that make him irrational and unfair. She asked him to follow the path of assertiveness to be a person of peace. Only from a place of calm and respect will he be able to move forward in life. Taking the advice, Rami walked between Jax and Zoe. He said that they are all very affected and he totally understands them. He mentions that he just wants to cry. Then he said that they shouldn't fight each other. They need to stay united in order to get out of this park. With that, all of them started exploring the park again. They were really thirsty, tired and just wanted to go home. Margot was checking her mobile to see if they got any signals, but there were none. Right then, they spotted another building with a board that said, Cinema. Inside, there was a board asking them to choose their seat. While others were seeing that bored, Bruno went to a vending machine right beside it to get something to drink. He got a cold drink and immediately started gulping it down. As he was doing that, he spotted the mascots from before. Without wasting a moment, all of them started running away. While running, they accidentally entered a graveyard and the door behind them got automatically shut. Now they have no choice but to wander in this graveyard. They walked toward the building to enter it, but it was closed. Then, they decided to find some other way to enter the building or leave this graveyard. As they keep walking, they realize that they're in a maze. After some moments, Bruno heard someone calling his name. When he looked behind, he saw some kid's shadowy figure. Bruno immediately recognized the kid and called her name, Mia. He ran toward her, but she quickly moved away. Bruno asked her to stop, but she didn't listen and kept running away from him. One day, Bruno was at home, messaging Margot from his phone. Margot told him how bored she is at home, and Bruno told her that he was locked in the library all day studying with Eva, so she shouldn't complain. Right then, Bruno's mom opened his room's door and asked him if he had spoken to his sister. She mentioned to Bruno that his sister finished her piano lesson more than 2 hours ago and hasn't returned home yet. Bruno didn't care and said that she must have met up with a friend or something. Hearing that, his mom tells him that she called his sister several times and she isn't answering her phone. Bruno still didn't care and just said that he doesn't know anything. Outside the house at a random place, someone was lying on an empty road. This girl is none other than Bruno's younger sister. Her mouth is open and her eyeballs aren't moving. In the present, after running for a while, Bruno reached a door with his name written on it. At that moment, Margot looks around and points out that Bruno isn't with them. They started finding Bruno and after walking around for a while, they all reached a door with Bruno's name on top of it. The door is open so Bruno has most likely passed through it. Near that door, Zoe finds a door with her name written on it as well. She entered the door to see what's inside, but it was really small with nothing in it. Right then, the ground below her opened and she fell down.